All right, so 13.1, multiplying and dividing expressions with common bases. So we're looking down here at 2 cubed. The regular size number is your base. That's what we mean by common bases. So we'll see what we mean as we continue to press forward. So those are your bases. The regular size number is your base, and then the superscript number up to your right, that is your exponent. So when we have 2 to the third power, 2 is our base, 3 is our exponent. So that means we're going to multiply 2 times itself 3 times. So 2 to the third power is different from 3 to the second power, because 3 is our base this time and 2 is our exponent. So that means we will multiply 3 times itself 2 times. All right, and of course we get two different numbers. Get 2 times 2 times 2 will give us 8, 3 times 3 will give us 9. Let me see if I got one more after that. So now right here, when we're looking at using the square, using our exponents period, and then involving a negative, we have to be careful. If we have a negative in our parentheses versus not using parentheses at all. So in this first one, 5 squared is just 5 times 5, which is 25. In the second one right here, negative 5 squared, notice the negative is sitting on the outside. Oh, let me say this. The negative is not included with a set of parentheses. So down here, notice we have negative 5 in parentheses. Then that's being squared. That right there means that we're going to square negative 5. So that's negative 5 times negative 5, which will give you a positive 25. Now, if you don't use parentheses like we do in the second one, the negative is never affected by the square. And so the negative is sitting on the outside of the parentheses, outside of your number. And that will give you negative 25. So once again, if you want to have your negative affected by your exponent, you have to use parentheses. You have to use parentheses. All right, questions on that? Make sure we're okay. Once again, if you do not use parentheses, then the exponent will not affect that negative. Same thing looking at variables. Here we have xy squared with no parentheses. Notice what I said right here, only the y is being squared. But if I use parentheses, that means both x and y are being squared. All right, any questions? Just talking about using exponents, making sure we understand the application of our exponents. All right, so the next one, next exercise, evaluate for a equal to 2 and b is equal to negative 3. So the first one is in black right here, 5a squared without parentheses. 2 is a, so you plug in 2 for a, so that would be 5 times 2 squared. 2 squared is 4. 5 times 4 is 20. All right. In B, we have 5a squared with parentheses around the 5a. So you plug in 2 for a. And so that'd be inside of the parentheses 5 times 2, which is 10. 10 squared, 10 times 10 is 100. All right, any problems with A or B? All right. So looking at C and D, we have 5ab squared. So take note that only b is being squared here. So that's 5 times 2 times negative 3 squared, because we substituted 2 for A, negative 3 for B. Then we have to do negative 3 squared, which is negative 3 times negative 3, and that's 9. And 5 times 2 times 9 will give you 90. All right, last one, b plus a squared. So negative 3 plus 2 squared, negative 3 plus 2 is negative 1. Negative 1 squared is negative 1 times negative 1, which is positive 1. All right, any questions? All right. So next we're looking at exponent rules. They gave us 2 of them, got 10 altogether, but they gave us 2 of them first to implement. And so the first one, notice our bases are alike. X is our base. So whenever you multiply like bases, you add your exponents. Then the second one, whenever you're dividing, you're going to subtract your exponents. All right, directions would be just to simplify. So here I have w cubed times w to the 4th. So all you're going to do is add your exponents. 3 plus 4, and that'll be w to the 7th. Next one, 2 to the 4th times 2 to the 2nd. Once again, we have like bases, so you add your exponents. 4 plus 2 is 6, so that's 2 to the 6th. And 2 to the 6th, you can go ahead and expand that out to give you 64. That's a small enough number to do so. Now, if you had like 7 to the 6th, they may not ask you to do it. But small numbers like 2, they would expect you to do so. And if you were to write 2 to the 6th in Connect Math, it should give you a hint saying expand it out or something like that. So it would let you know. C, y to the 13 times y to the 6. So let me see where it goes. I don't know where my spot goes. Hold on, I went that far back. Oh, but anyway. All right, so when you don't see anything there, assume you know there's a 1 as your exponent. So in other words, if I have a, they assume you know that's a to the 1st power. So that's always the case. So here we have y, so that's y to the 1st power. Adding your exponents, 13 plus 1 plus 6, that'll be y to the 20th. Any questions on ABC? All right. D, we have t to the 6th over t to the 4th. Division means you're going to subtract your exponents. So that's why we do 6 minus 4, and that'll be t squared. Five to the 12th over 5 to the 10th power. Once again, division means you're going to subtract your exponents. So that'll be 12 minus 10, which is 2. And then 5 squared is 25. All right. Questions, questions, questions. All right, next one we have x to the 4th times x to the 5th over x to the 6th. First thing we do is multiply. We have x to the 4th times x to the 5th on top, so add your exponents. Remember, whenever you're multiplying those bases, you're adding your exponents. So 4 plus 5 gives us 9. And then division says that we're going to subtract our exponents. So it'd be x to the 6th. All right. Any problems? All right, next one, we have negative 3p squared q to the 4th times 2p q to the 5th. So now we can break this up into 3 different multiplications. So we see we have negative 3 times 2. Then you have p squared times p. And then q to the 4th times q to the 5th. So you pretty much you like multiplying like terms. So negative 3 times 2 and p squared times p, q to the 4th times q to the 5th. Once again, we recognize if I just see p there, then that's p to the 1st power. So you multiply negative 3 times 2, which gives us negative 6. Add your exponents for p, which is p cubed, and then add your exponents for q, which is q to the 9th. All right, questions? Any questions? All right, similar situation with the next one, 16 w to the 9th y to the 3rd over 4 w to the 8th y. So we break it up into our three pieces, 16 over 4 w to the 9th over w to the 8th y to the 3rd over y. And then 16 divided by 4 is 4. Subtract your exponents because we're dividing now. 9 minus 8 is 1. And 3 minus 2, 3 minus 1 is 2. So we have 4wy squared. All right, any questions before we look at the next one? All right, so that's it for 13.1. They go over those 2 rules. Questions on those 2 rules before we go to 13.2 and look at a few more. So the next one, our third one, when you raise a power to a power, you multiply your exponents. So notice we have x to the m power raised to the nth power. So you multiply your exponents. X to the m times n. So looking at A, we have S, that's an S, not a 5. S to the fourth power raised to the second power, S to the fourth power squared. So once again, when you raise a power to a power, you're going to multiply your exponents. And so it's 4 times 2, which is S to the 8th. One thing to remember about these is that, when it comes to trying to remember them, it comes with practice. The more you do them, the more they stick. So the best practice isn't to try to memorize these, but to actually, use them in homework and to get the repetition in.
Is that 3? What is the 3? That circle, is that a part of it, or that's just number 3?
Right here, yeah, just rule number 3.
Okay.
Yep.
Oh, okay.
Yep. Thanks for asking. Yeah, because we had 2 in the last section. This is our third rule. All right, B, 10 to the second power raised to the third power. Once again, power to a power. So we multiply your exponents. So it'll be 10 to the 6th power. And C, we have x to the second power times x to the fifth power raised to the fourth power. So the first thing we would do is recognize the fact that we have x to the second times x to the fifth. So that means we're going to add our exponents. That'll give us x to the seventh. And now that we have x to the seventh, we raise that to the fourth power. That means we will multiply those. 7 times 4 will give us 28. Any problems? Any problems? All right, so the next 2 rules, x times y raised to the nth power. So this m is going to be applied to each turned into parentheses. That's why we have x to the m times y to the m. Same thing with x divided by y raised to the nth power. That m we apply to the top and bottom. And that's x to the m over y to the m. All right, questions. All right, let me erase some of this stuff. I can leave that. Okay, so the next one we have 5x squared y to the 7th cubed. So this 3, this cube needs to be applied to each term inside the parentheses. So that's why we have 5 cubed, x squared cubed, and then y to the 7th cubed. And that will be the result. Don't get 5 cubed is 5 times 5 times 5. So 5 times itself 3 times. Give us that 125. And then x squared cubed, we're going to multiply those exponents. That'll give us x to the 6th. And 7 times 3 is y to the 27th. All right, next one. Y over 3x to the 3xy to the 4th squared. So that squared needs to hit each term in the parentheses. So that's why we have on this right side 1 squared over 3 squared x squared y to the 4th squared. All right, so 1 squared is 1. 1 times 1 is 1. 3 squared is 3 times 3, which is 9. X squared is just x squared. But then here, 4 times 2, we have y to the 4th raised to the 2nd power. 4 times 2 will give us 8. Any questions? Make sure we're all right. All right, so here, 3CD times 2CD cubed raised to the 3rd power. All right, so this cube needs to be applied to each that's in that parentheses that preceded. So that's what happens right here. 3CD stays the same, but then you have 2 cubed, C cubed, and D cubed. All right, so I went ahead and simplified this. Probably could have did. All right. So 2 cubed, 2 times itself 3 times is 8. C cubed is just C cubed, and then D cubed. Remember, you multiply your exponents. That's why we have D to the 9th. Then you break it up into the parts that can be combined. 3 times 8, C times C cubed, D times D to the 9th. All right, 3 times 8 is 24. C times C to the third is C to the fourth. Don't forget there's a 1 here. D times D to the ninth is D to the 10th, because once again there's a 1 here. All right, questions? Any questions? Let's see what 13.4 is. See, 1336, 1336. We can, let me see how long is 13.3. Okay. So we can pause right here. That's 2 sections. We can do 2 more sections next class. Do 3.3 and 3.4 next class. We'll do it that way. All right. So any questions on anything? Anybody have any questions on anything that I've said? Make sure we're good. Everybody good, everybody straight. Make sure that if there was a deadline that passed and for some reason couldn't get stuff done, that you get with me, shoot an email, so that if there's anything we can do, discuss a plan about getting caught up, give you an extension that we can do that. So make sure you get with me on that, and we'll go from there. All right. So everybody good before we close? Everybody good? Everybody straight? All right. I see a thumbs up. Appreciate it. All right, everybody say yeah. Okay, good. So like I said, we'll knock out 2 more sections next class. And really, we don't have but so much. We don't have a lot left. Got chapter 13 and chapter 14 as far as what's left, as far what's required of us as far as new material is concerned, and then we'll be good to go. So you guys have a good one. You be safe, and I will see you on Wednesday.